I will be honest. If I didn't make a promise to Travis and promise to myself to do this for the full time, I would have gave up a long time ago. It shouldn't be this hard.
So we're back at it, and I'm going to challenge another person who owns an Android phone to try an iPhone for an extended period of time. And this time, I'm choosing a subscriber. Now, I'm doing this because of some of the critiques I got from the last time. If you did not see that video, let's just wait for you. You go ahead, there's a link in the description. Maybe I'll put a card up here somewhere. You go watch that video, and we'll wait for you, don't worry, because you need to watch that. I don't want to spoil it for you. There's some spoilers in this video. Let's wait for them. Now listen, while they're going to watch that, let me explain to you what's going on. One of the biggest critiques I got from that video was that I gave a newer iPhone to someone who had an older Android phone, and of course they would want to upgrade. Now, first of all, I think that's silly on a lot of different ways, because number one, if you love Android and you don't really care for iOS, it doesn't matter if it's new. You're not going to switch to it. But one of the main reasons that he switched had to do with the software, not the hardware. It was iOS. So I decided I'll do it again. This time, we'll find someone who does not want to switch at all, and we'll use a phone from the same year as the phone they currently have. That way, it's not a newer phone. Now, for those of you in the comment section about ready to write something, go,
well, why don't you just give them a new Android phone and a new iPhone?
Listen, y'all ain't watching enough of these videos for me to afford a $2,000 investment in a video like this. So y'all gonna have to hit that like button and that subscribe button, a whole bunch more if you want some of that action. And for those of you that want me to do it the opposite way, challenging an iPhone user to use Android, let's get this thing to 3,500 likes and I'll do it. Also, I'll be following up with Nelson in this video. For some of you wanted to know what's been happening with him many weeks and months later and see what he thinks about being on an iPhone all this time. Right after this.
This is, you know you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. And today we're going to challenge another Android user to try an iPhone. Let's get into the video. Now, Tish actually uses a Samsung Galaxy Note 10, I believe, and she was watching my channel back when I was doing reviews of those phones. She said many times in live streams and everywhere else on my comment section, she has no interest in an iPhone at all, period, end of story. Like, she's one of y'all Android-loving people who wants nothing to do with an iPhone. So anyway, I decided to reach back into the bag of the Amazon Renewed series of videos that I've done. If you've watched my channel before, you know I love Amazon Renewed. And I've reached out to Chubby's Tech, who's been supplying a lot of great Amazon Renewed phones for me to review over the last couple of years. They've been an incredible support of the channel. So they've donated a iPhone 11 Pro. I love the fact that they are so willing to do this. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for their entire page on Amazon. If you're looking for an Amazon Renewed phone, make sure you go buy one from them. They've been really supportive and their products are great. So it's an iPhone 11 Pro, not a Pro Max. I know some of y'all would be wondering, why not a Pro Max? Well, I don't want to do a Pro Max because I don't want the size to be one of the reasons that she may or may not like the phone. This came out the same exact year as the Galaxy Note 10. So this is pretty much as even as possible. And for those of you that are still going to nitpick after all this time, watch something else. If you're here for entertainment, you're going to be entertained. So let's go talk to the participant of this, my own subscriber, about switching to the iPhone for more than a week. All right, I'm here with Tish, one of my subscribers, one of my good friends, who has been in my comment section for years talking about how she does not want an iPhone at all. Doesn't want one. So I chose one because all y'all out here are hating on me, saying that I found someone who would probably want an iPhone anyway. Tish doesn't want one. She don't want no part of this. Thank you, Tish, for being a part of this.
All for you, Travis.
I appreciate you. So real quick, give people background. You have what, a Galaxy Note 10, right?
Yeah, the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Yeah.
And you've been happy with that. You've enjoyed it.
I love my phone.
Of course. Yeah. You have no reason to ever look at an iPhone at all. Like, matter of fact, you've even said, if I'm thinking about upgrading, I might get another Note. Like, you have never even kind of, like, you've even said that you just straight up don't want, like, against it at one point, I think.
I have no interest in entering into the Apple ecosphere. My boyfriend, partner, whatever you want to call him, he has all Apple stuff, and if I wanted to, it's right there for me. Right. I'm like, no, I mean, unless you can try and convince me otherwise, which I think you're trying to do.
Well, no, this is just an experiment. I like this because this is probably the worst scenario possible for something like this. If I wanted to convert you, this is the worst possible scenario. You have no interest in it. I'm not giving you like a brand new phone. Like I'm stacking the deck against this. I just think it's interesting. And I think your particular scenario is going to be even more interesting because you're also a YouTuber. So you actually can kind of videotape some of the stuff you're doing along the way. I think we'll have some pretty cool looking footage and stuff. And you'll be able to give your honest opinions along the way, especially as a creator, as a creating tool. I use my iPhone for B-roll all the time. And I'm sure you do with your phone. So I'd be interested to see like how that turns out over time. What are your, going into this, because you've seen the other video, what are your preconceived notions about this so far? Like how you think you react to it and what do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be a hassle? Like just walk me through what you're thinking.
I think for me, it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt because I'm not very tech savvy. I told Michael he's not allowed to help me unless I'm crying.
Okay.
So, and I actually begged him to do it. But I want to figure it out myself. That's one thing I've always tried to pride myself in is doing things myself. I honestly, I'm going to miss my S Pen because I use my S Pen a lot.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people mentioned that about the last video that Nelson didn't mention that. I'm glad you brought that up. So you are a daily user of your S Pen. You love it.
Yes, I love my S Pen because I have to write stuff down. Otherwise, I forget. And it's like I have probably 100 notes in my phone right now. I also use it for a remote when I'm taking product pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So I use it as my remote for my camera. So I don't have to I can set it up like this and just beep and I'm done.
You create, in other words, you're using this not just as a phone, but also as a tool in your workflow. So it is actually very vital to your everyday thing. So this could be incredibly disruptive for you. I love that you're so willing to do it. Now, just one last quick question about this. What does Michael think? Is he kind of excited for this or what does he think about all this?
He's excited for it. He, him and I have gone head to head about switching to Apple. And I said, maybe I'll get an iPad because I can use Procreate on it and start drawing and doing that kind of thing. But I'm not a big iPhone person. I have a PC in my computer, in my PC computer in my studio. So AirDrop is not a thing for me.
Sure.
None of these things that everybody says, oh, this has this and this and this. It's like, well, I'd have to spend another $5,000 just to get those kind of things.
We're shooting this on Christmas Eve right now at the moment. So you'll get this a little bit after Christmas. I want you to take over a week to get used to it, especially since you're a creator. I want you to be able to spend more time figuring out how it works in your workflow and whether or not it ever will work in your workflow. I believe that if anything, this is a good gateway phone. And if you don't like this, you probably will never like an iPhone. I think pretty much end of story. You'll never have to have the argument with Michael ever again. It's going to be pretty much, listen, I tried it for this long. That's it.
Good morning. I think it's morning. I'm so excited for this. Got Travis's package last night. I waited till this morning and I'm going to get bird's eye camera so you can watch me unbox. And then, okay, so I like the green. All right. Oh, and it's got a clear back on it. That's kind of cool. That's really cool. Putting these two side by side, and I actually have grids, y'all, because this is what I do. This is the Samsung Note 10 Plus, and it is an inch longer. It's about about a quarter inch wider. So this is a bigger phone, which the reason why I got this is because it's a bigger phone, because I'm getting older and my hands don't want to work as much, but okay. Make purchases. Set up later. Because create a passcode. Okay, we do this. Really? I gotta do 6? I gotta try and remember 6 numbers? Good lord. Don't transfer apps data. Sign in with your Apple ID to use iCloud, the App Store, and other services. Or don't have an Apple ID. Create a free Apple ID. First name. T-I-S-H. Birthday. Math. Why do you have to be all algebra on me? On my Samsung phone, I usually have 2 to 3 bars. On this Apple phone, I only have 1. I probably won't use iCloud or Apple Media because after this test is done, if I decide not to keep the phone, then I won't have access to any of that anymore. Because that's what I use on my phone. I use Google everything just because it's easy. and I can go from my Google on my phone to Google on my computer. And I'm assuming it's kind of the same thing for people who have an Apple phone and then have an iMac or iPad or whatever. They can go between devices fairly smoothly. I can go between my phone and my computer really easily. I'm never going to use Siri. Oh, dark mode all the way, baby. Oh, look at that. That right there is sexy. Okay, so FaceTime, calendar, photos, camera. This is really cluttered. Okay, I don't like this. Okay, I'm going to show you what my onboard screen looks like, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on my phone. So this is supposed to be a similar phone to what I already have. This is like out the same year, but for Amazon Renewed, I mean, this is a really nice phone. I mean, it looks practically new. There is a little, oh no, that's tape. I mean, other than a few minor scratches, that it's not that big of a deal. Okay, I already don't like this. Does it have a fingerprint ID? Because that's what I have on my phone. Well, that's kind of cool. It has voice memos, which is cool. This is just, how do I get into the actual notes thing then? Note to self or with anyone, invite others to view or make changes to a note, sketch your thoughts, use the jaw. I don't like using my finger. I have fat sausage fingers. Well, can I just... I don't wanna. I wanna use a pen. Yeah, see, no, I miss my S pen. I wonder. Just for science. Nope. It only recognizes my finger. So, a stylus. This is just a stylus. This is just a little thing. I don't like having to enter in my password every time. So, and I don't want to do face connect because I wear glasses. Okay, I don't like swiping up from the bottom either. I like just being able to hit my little square at the bottom, and it's a lifestyle adjustment. I'll get used to it. Maybe just one picture in and I like the camera. So, you know, I may change my mind once I go to take product pictures, because I take product pictures with this phone. I need to find out if it has wireless charging on it. So... oh, that's going to be weird. I'm used to hitting my button over here. What are these buttons for? What do these do? Like, for real. Oh, I don't like this. Where's text messaging? Allow messages to share. You have notifications. Silence when using focus. Okay, focus is that thing that Viper did his video on. Got it. How do I make a phone call if I don't? Oh, keypad. Okay, how do I? Okay.
To an automatic voice message system.
Michael.
He's in the shower still. First impressions, it's a smaller phone, which is okay. Smaller is sometimes better. There's just too much stuff on here. That's what I was going to show you guys. I was going to show. Do you see my phone? Do you see how not cluttered it is? I actually have a screen where it's just my folders down at the bottom. I gotta figure out how to do that on this phone. So I've completed the first day of the iPhone experience. And I can see why people like the phone, because it has a certain feel to it and it's alien to me, and I'm gonna do my best to adapt and grow and learn. It has triggered a lot of really insightful conversations with Michael, but right now it's not winning me over. I have a certain way of doing things that I've been doing for so long. Like, I have I don't have my phone cluttered with apps, and so when I open my phone, I'm not overwhelmed with apps. I've learned how to take the phone and put it into folders. I've learned how to do that. Uploading apps was kind of a pain in the ass. Okay, it wasn't kind of a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass, because until I set up the face recognition on this phone, it was asking me for my 6-digit PIN number, and I'm like, there's got to be a shorter way to do this. And thankfully, I finally got frustrated enough to ask Michael, and he's like, oh yeah, just do this, this, and this, and showed me how to do a 4-digit PIN. But having to enter my PIN after every single thing, and then it wasn't installing and I couldn't find it, and it was very frustrating. Let's just say it it tried my redhead temper many times, but I'm learning. And this is, I'm not only doing this for Travis and because I love him, but I'm doing this for me so I can understand and know how an iPhone works compared to an Android. And right now, I miss my phone. I miss my Android because I have all my folders set up and all the things set up, and I miss my S Pen. We went shopping yesterday and I had to type the shopping list. I mean, kinda. I figured out how to use voice commands like voice typing, voice dictation. I don't know what it's called. You still had to, maneuver it, and it was very cumbersome for me. I really like my S Pen to just write. So I did take a couple of pictures, and I do say I do like the camera on here. So it's day 2 of the Apple adventure. I figured out how to change my background. So I got one of my acrylic boards in the background, and I figured out I can put my folders all down at the bottom. I don't like this up at the top. My Samsung, it's down here, so everything's compressed right here, which I like because it's like all like one spot. Played around with the camera, and it's a great camera for like point and shoot, like a point and shoot type of dynamic, but I haven't figured out how to have more control. Overall, it's a great phone. I'm not dissing the phone. Apple is great, so is Android. And it just depends on who you are, is what I'm finding out. It depends on who you are and what you're comfortable with. There are some apps that I'm having difficulty finding in the Apple Store, so I'm going to see if I can find them. Mostly it's from my bank. It's a small credit union, so I don't know if they're on iStore, but I will find it and we will check back in tomorrow. I've dropped the phone twice. Oh boy. Are you gonna have an outtakes video? Because this is hilarious. Day 5? Something like that. I don't know. It's a day that ends in Y. And to be honest, I'm very frustrated a lot of the time. And I'm having to go to my computer and find passwords. There's no Google apps already on the native on the phone, so I have to find the right app that I need. I just downloaded them all. I just was downloading. I don't even know if I use that Google feature, but I found some Google features that I didn't know existed. That's kind of cool. I really, really miss my S Pen. I have note cards and post-it notes scattered all around my studio, and you can see how much of a mess it already is. I don't need any help with that, y'all, but I'm not finding anything that will allow me to adjust like the ISO and the aperture and all that. Maybe I'm just not pushing the right buttons. Maybe I'm not diving deep enough, but on my phone it's easy. Go down to the menu, hit Pro, and there it is. I will be honest, if I didn't make a promise to Travis and a promise to myself to do this for the full time, I would have gave up a long time ago. Because I'm feeling very stupid. And I know I'm not stupid. I know I'm smart. But it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this complicated just to switch over. I mean, Michael's in there right now switching over to an iPhone 11 Pro Max Jihujic thing. He just has the phone sitting next to each other, and they're like talking to each other and having a little party. And why can't I do that with my Android phone? Why can't we all just get along? Apple users, Android users, Pixel users, we're all using the same technology. It's just in a different form.
All right, we're back with Tish. It's been actually a week. So the last time I did this with Nelson, it had only been like 3 days, and his decision was at a week. But we're putting Tish through it. So she's already had the phone for over a week. She's going to have it for about another week more before she makes her decision. So she's further into her journey than Nelson was at this same point. So Tish, thank you again for joining me. Thank you again for being a part of this. Let's talk a little bit about what your first week has been. Now, we've seen some clips of what you kind of went through so far up until this point. Anything that surprised you in like maybe not a great way?
Other than the physical phone itself, it's smaller than my other phone.
Mm-hmm.
And
obviously this phone doesn't have the S Pen like my Note
Correct.
does. With Apple, I had to like first figure out how to use Apple Store. Oh, wait. Before any of that, I had
All
to
right.
get an Apple account, an
Yes.
iCount or whatever it is.
Yes.
That was kind of daunting because I'm very like private. I don't
Sure.
give out my information to just any, technology that asks for it because I've been hacked.
Yeah.
I've had my identity stolen, and I know Apple's really good with security, but still, I still was not comfortable. Why would I go through all this effort and do all these things? And I'm like, well, what if you end up buying an iPad? You can use this information on your iPad.
100%.
So I logically figured that out. So, but I literally spent 3 days uploading apps because I would be like, oh, I don't have that app on this phone. I don't have that app on my phone. Oh, I don't have that app on my phone. So part of it was transition, the password being really long.
Yep. You need to have a good password. Yep.
Just the passcode to get into my phone because I didn't set up face recognition right away.
Oh, I see.
Because I was concerned that I wear glasses all the time, but what if I take my glasses off? And I wear a hat most of the day, but at night I take it off, obviously. So I was concerned at how well it would work. Ultimately, it's just for me so far, it's just finding, like, learning a new program.
Yeah.
Is basically what all it is. A phone is a phone. It still functions the same. I still have text messaging. I can still receive phone calls. I can still do all the things. So it's just the getting used to it part. And it'd be the same way if I were to an Apple user an Android phone. They would have the same learning curve. Although depending on how tech smart they are, if they're tech smart, their learning curve is going to be much, much smaller than mine is.
Now, once you're kind of into it, you've had it for about a week, things are mostly working, I guess, though, or set up kind of in the way you like it. What are the things that surprise you maybe in a positive way?
It's actually very intuitive. Like for me, I'm a very visual person. So having things neat and organized you can see the chaos behind me. I've got to have some organization in my life. So, having everything neat and organized and put in its own little pod. Now the Apple phone is set up like my Android phone was. And at first I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do that. I haven't figured out how to change the keyboard. I hate the keyboard.
You can change the keyboard. Yeah. If you don't like it, change it. You absolutely
I don't like the keyboard at all. I haven't had a chance to really do the fine tuning. I've gotten the basics done. One thing that doing this experience has done for me is it has made me firm in my decision that I will buy an iPad. So even if I don't keep this phone, because I don't like this phone, doesn't mean I'm not going to buy another Apple product. I'm 99.9% sure I'm going to get an iPad. Which one? That one I'm going to leave to your advice.
Of course, we'll talk about that maybe at the end of this. Have you used FaceTime yet or iMessage specifically other than with me?
My friend Clara has iMessage, and I've used it a little bit with her, but Michael doesn't even use iMessage.
So that's a big difference. Now, because a lot of people said, well, it's because of peer pressure. You don't have that in your life. You don't really have peer pressure to use an iPhone over an Android. This is really all going to be your experience. It's really up to you.
On a day-to-day basis, I don't use my phone like during the day.
Yeah.
If I do my messaging, it's usually through Facebook Messenger. That's the only that's the only Facebook product I can stand behind anymore. I just want to give myself the opportunity to learn. And I'm grateful for you for giving me this opportunity, because I do have people in my life that do have iPhones. I just don't message them or call them. It's just because I'm in front of my computer. I'm doing computery work. If you're on the fence about getting an iPhone from an Android perspective, you already have an Android and you're thinking about going to iPhone, borrow someone's phone for a couple of days. You might personally like this interface better because it's kind of like going from Windows to Linux.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve. It's a different way of doing things, but it all does the same thing. Just try it. Be open-minded. Learn more about yourself, but also more about the tech.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm super excited to see where we land in about a week from now. Well, let's zip into your next journal right now.
I have been playing around with the Apple photo camera and the photo settings that are in there. I took a couple of pictures of this already because what I usually do is I cut off this anyways, so I need to have a fairly close picture so I can have it at a higher resolution, so I don't lose definition when I zoom in and crop it and do all that for the website. So what I have here, this is my phone that I use, and I'm having the Apple phone on my SwitchPod. So I can show you Pro mode for me gives me the most options. All I can find within the app, the camera app on the Apple phone, was flash, exposure, filter, and f-stop. And I kept on getting the error within, I think it's called like studio light, natural light, that I needed to be move closer or move further away, and so I couldn't get the nice close-up picture like I can with this and do my white balance, my ISO, my f-stop, exposure, and all of that stuff that I have available to me on my phone here. I realize there are probably apps for that. In fact, there's always an app for that. But why should I pay for an app for something that I have native on my phone? The one thing I don't like about this app is it resets. See, it's already reset. As soon as I put my S Pen in there, it reset. Tomorrow is going to be the decision day, and it's going to be very tough for me to decide if I want. I mean, my phone is just shattered and broken, but I've had it for almost 3 years, and I love this phone. But I do like the Apple phone. And I'm not saying that to be cheesy or whatever, but one thing I will say, and I think I've mentioned this before, I will be getting an iPad. That will happen because of this experiment. That is going to happen. This phone, I don't know. I honestly don't know right now. I need to sleep on it.
All right, it's been 2 weeks and it's time to call Tish and find out what the results are. Now, I want to be clear about something. I haven't talked to her yet. I have no idea which way she's leaning. I haven't even looked at any of the journals at this point as I'm shooting this now. I haven't seen any of them. And to be honest, that's not the point. The point isn't to convert anybody. I'm not trying to make people use an iPhone and convert to it. I just want people who are really stuck in their mind about being in one brand and being with one brand to try something new. This is something Tish would never have done on her own, and I think it's dope that she really opened herself up to this particular experience, and it's super cool. So if she decides to stay with her Android phone, that's dope. That's totally cool. And if she wants to switch, that's dope. That's totally cool. But she will now have an educated decision. She now has the experience, and I practically guarantee that regardless of whether or not she stays or goes, she has probably learned some pretty cool things about a phone that she would have never used otherwise. And that makes this video a success. It's kind of dope. So let's find out what was her experience having an iPhone 11 Pro for 2 weeks. All right, we're back with Tish, and it's been 2 weeks, longer than when Nelson did this. This has been, I'm sure, quite the adventure. I personally have not seen the journals yet, but the people who are watching this have seen them. And I do know, based on what you told me last time, it's been a bit of an adventure. Just kind of as an overall feeling, what was this like for 2 weeks?
It was definitely an adventure. I've been labeling everything as an adventure because when you try anything new, whether it's tech or, new recipes or something, it's always finding new things and exploring them. And I'm going to go off of the fact of like an Apple thing versus an Android thing, not necessarily the style of the phone or anything like that. Apple is a little bit cumbersome for someone who's been in the Android world for a long time. And there's not a lot of help me screens. So I don't know, it's like, I had to go elsewhere for the information of why do you need this information, or why do you, why can't I do this? Or basically they're not really user friendly for people who are not tech minded, at least in my experience. Getting used to the way Apple has things laid out. Like for me on my Android, that one menu screen where I can push it and see all the apps that I have open. That thing is amazing for me. I use it all the time. To switch back between Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and
and, you know, checking my Wi-Fi signal and all those things. I have them all open till the end of the day and then I close them all up. I haven't been able to find a way to do that on Apple. There probably is. Don't get mad at me. I just haven't figured it out yet. So the interface for me was a little bit cumbersome. There are certain rooms in the house that I won't get reception in. And if I wasn't hooked to the Wi-Fi, I wouldn't be able to use my phone.
Right.
But with my Samsung, I'm cool.
All right, because I know someone in the comments going to say it. There is a multitasking feature where you swipe halfway up. So you know how you swipe away apps, where you just swipe up from the bottom? If you do that and kind of hold it, that's where you get all of your apps that are open. And kind of unlike Android, you actually don't have to close them at the end of the day because they're suspended in a way that doesn't drain the battery. But if you do want to quickly go through them, that's how you would do it. But to your point, on the Samsung, there's just a button you press for it to come up versus like a gesture. So you would get used to it after a while, but the fact that you never found it is very interesting.
I do like the camera, like for point and shoot pictures, you know, not necessarily for the camera aspects that I need it for my business. But if you are one of those people that likes taking selfies or likes taking pictures of just where you're at and want to share, this thing is phenomenal. iMessage is kind of fun. I do have to admit, because I like using my emojis, and to have them emojis is kind of fun.
That was fun, of course.
It is fun. If you put an emoji behind it, you can help clarify that this is a joke, wink, wink, nudge, nudge,
Right,
or if you're truly PO'd. And being able to like someone's message, because sometimes I'm busy and I just don't have time to type a reply, and being able to just heart it or thumbs up it or whatever is really cool. It reminds me of Facebook Messenger. It kind of had to grow on me. But I do like the face recognition. I'll be in the middle of cooking something and I'll get a text message and I just want to see who it is. And so I can just pick up my phone and I don't necessarily have to put my finger on the screen, you know, and get my finger, fingerprint all over my screen and that kind of thing, like I do with my Android. And I think my Android actually has face recognition. I'm not sure. I've never used it before. It's very convenient and I liked it.
With all this time, you've had 2 full weeks with an iPhone. Will you switch? If you will, tell us why. If you won't, tell us why. Tish, are you staying or going?
I'm gonna stick with Android.
Okay, tell us why.
I miss my S Pen.
Okay.
And it's nothing against Apple or Apple users or any of that. So don't leave, Travis, any nasty comments in the comment section or me. I can do more with my phone. The camera on my phone allows me to have a pro mode. In the previous sections, you kind of saw me go through why I liked my Android camera versus the Apple camera. And those are like the 2 things that I use the most in my life is my S Pen, because I'm constantly having to write things down. And I've had to carry a little notebook with me just because I couldn't necessarily write things down on my Apple. Other than that, that's really just kind of my deciding factor is my experience. It's my user experience, not the phone.
So super shout out to Tish. I thank her so much for being a part of this. And what an incredible experience we all got to see. Very vulnerable in moments and completely honest the entire way through. Some of you might be thinking, well, this proves the point that the other video was invalid because she didn't switch over. But then we had another meeting a week later, and it turns out that if you ask the right question, you get a different answer. You see, she kept talking about the S Pen and how important it was to her, so I decided to ask, if Samsung ever got rid of the S Pen or stopped selling phones with an S Pen, would you ever possibly buy an iPhone?
Yes.
Wow.
Because honestly, I were to upgrade my phone and the new Samsung phone didn't have the S Pen coming with it, I would probably realistically look at the iPhone 13 or whatever number it is. Yes.
Now that's incredible. You got to remember, Tish wanted nothing to do with Apple at all at the beginning of this experiment. And now she is absolutely buying an iPad. And if Samsung drops the S Pen, which I hope they don't do, she might actually get an iPhone. That's crazy. Anyway, an incredible experiment. I thank Tish so much. Link to her channels in the description below. But now you're probably wondering what happened to Nelson. Is he still on an iPhone? Does he still have Apple stuff? Or has he gone back to a Samsung phone? All right, we're back a couple months later with Nelson and Erica from the iPhone challenge. It's been a minute since we've seen each other last.
Yeah.
And how are things going with the iPhone? People are asking all the time in the comments, how are things going with the iPhone? And do you still like it? And that sort of thing.
I mean, I still really enjoy it. I think the only thing that has kind of surprised me is when it comes to like games.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that Apple got like all of the games first, and now it's either games are coming out on Apple and Android at the same time, or, I mean, there are some games that come out on Android first. So that's something that's interesting to see, that shift. I've really loved it. I love FaceTime and iMessage, and I've enjoyed Apple TV a lot.
One of the things that people continue to bring up are, one, that you like never mentioned and this was my fault, you never really mentioned missing the S Pen. They're like, oh, he can't be a real Android user because he never talked about missing the S Pen.
So I like the S Pen. I was not like a huge S Pen or stylus guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't something that I would use instead of my finger in everyday stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I used it a lot in like Jackbox games because they have a lot of games where you have to like draw stuff, and that was fantastic for that.
Yeah.
And then I also had like a coloring app that I would use it on that I really liked it. Occasionally I'd use it for checking off a list.
But did you miss it? Do you miss it now?
I don't, you know, like the few, like,
Yeah.
I didn't use it a lot, and that's the thing. I didn't use it a ton. It was great for when I did use it, but because I wasn't using it like as an everyday thing, not having it hasn't been a big issue for me.
The big elephant in the room is most people think that the reason that you went to iPhone is because the phone was new, and of course you would take a new phone versus
Absolutely.
just keeping your older phone. And I know that came up. It wasn't never in the video, so people don't know. Tell us about that. Did that have anything to do with it? Do you feel like, hey, this is a new phone, why wouldn't I just take a new phone?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. It's a good question. I mean, that's basically every time Apple comes out with a new phone, you're given that option if you have an updated phone. They're like, every carrier is like, trade in your phone for a free iPhone. And I've never made that decision. You know, even though I had phones, like I had Androids, you know, I had a Note 9 that I could have easily traded in the next year for the newest iPhone for free, and I never did. Newness wasn't a factor for me. My Android functioned perfectly. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't know,
good.
like there was no slowdown. I still had plenty of space. You know, I had all my settings on it set up the way I liked it to. I mean, I totally get the like, oh yeah, it's a brand new phone. Of course you're going to switch to it. But, you know, I was really just trying it out and realizing that I really liked some of the features. And I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, we're all given that option pretty much every time an iPhone comes out. When it comes to missing my Android, you know, all the any apps that I bought there are gone. And so that's a little sad.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for, again, doing this whole experiment thing.
Yeah.
And people really were interested in how you've been getting along. A lot of people were like, did he buy an Apple TV? You know, all those things.
Yeah.
But you are watching Apple TV, which I thought was
Still
interesting.
watching it. I mean, I still have that 3-month trial, but I think we're gonna keep going. Like,
We've really liked
liked it.
Apple TV. Like,
Yeah.
they've done a really good job.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
See ya.